So we've got a couple of absolutely beautiful goldfish here.
Yeah.
And this is like an outdoor area. It's like an absolutely beautiful backyard. And as far as fish are concerned, something that I'm a very big fan of is that change is king. So these fish are buzzing around in there now. And then right now it's winter. So when it starts to heat up, one thing that would be a suggestion is either put a heater in there and then you can get a big range of fish, or when it starts to heat up, you could actually change this tank to a temperate tank. That way, once these fish have got moved on, you could like think about putting a pond down in there or whatever, or we can just take these away and rehome them. And then you could put some zebra danios, some mountain clouds, some rosy barbs. You could definitely get the sucking catfish, and the sucking cats will do a great job helping to keep the algae down. So there's a whole range of fish that you can look at getting that are called temperate water fish. The other thing I'd consider doing is putting a light on so you can really enjoy these guys at night time as well, because I imagine sitting out here at night would be absolutely beautiful. So currently the water quality in here is actually very good. We've got no nitrite, no ammonia, pretty much no nitrate, slightly alkaline pH. We've got a GH of 14 and a KH of 8. So as far as water quality is concerned, the water quality is very good. And then as far as fish food's concerned, we've got some good fish food here. So these are really nice, healthy, happy fish in which when it warms up, we could think about trading them out. That'd be fun. Now I've just cleaned out this back filter, and I've cleaned the impeller, which was in there. Now inside this filter, there is a bit of biological, which I'll clean in water from the fish tank. And there is some sponge, which I'll clean in water from the fish tank. And the secret is this. So this is polyfilter, and I will replace this polyfilter. And polyfilter is really magic stuff for making sure that your tank runs well all the time. But if we're going to heavily populate this tank up, I really wouldn't hesitate to consider getting a second filter, whether it's a canister filter down underneath or whether it's a second hang-on on that side. If I was going to buy another hang-on, I'd look at a bottom to top model, something like your Aqua L's, and because we're able to put more biological media into ones like your Fluval, which are more really good water polishers. If you have them working together, you'd have a very good result. If you did get a canister, you could even consider a canister with a UV in it, and that way if you are getting any sunlight, it's going to help keep the water nice and crystal clear. So a UV filter would be a very good idea. For every aquarium, I really think a flipper is a must. So that just basically is a razor blade magnet, and it just allows you to give the glass a clean in 2 seconds flat. You don't even have to wet your hands, and I'm a very big fan of the flipper. I think you should definitely get a large flipper. They're really worth the money. So I'm just doing a gravel clean, and you can see that it's very, very dirty. So I would consider changing the food to Spectrum's probiotics, because Spectrum's probiotics has got a probiotic bacteria in the food, which means when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo eats the poo, and you'll find that when you're doing gravel cleans or filter cleans in the future, you'll find that they're so much cleaner after a couple of months. Now, once you get a flipper on this tank, you'll be able to keep it clean so much easier. But if you are going to use a razor, these Seachem ones, they work very, very well. They're great for just cutting through all the crap and giving your tank a quick cleanse. What you should have on hand all the time is a fine net. Now, what a fine net is great for is particularly after you do a big tank clean, like I just did then, if you actually go like this, you'll actually be surprised how much algae you can pull out of the tank. So if you set up particularly if you do it in one area, so you chase the fish down the other end, and then you just go like this. And really, getting all this algae out of the tank is the key, because what you don't want is all this algae staying in the tank, and then the algae breaks down, and then if the algae breaks down, it just releases all its nutrients and creates more algae. So we just want to go through, try and get out as much as we can. That'll really put us ahead. Look at that. So as we're adding water to the tank, about every 5 centimetres we want to give the tank a full dose of prime to ensure that we're not getting chlorine in the tank. But at the same time, we also don't want to way overdose it, or it'll jack up our GH level. I'm not a fan of big rocks or something that's sitting on the bottom of the tank. So what I've done here, it's very hard to see with the reflection, put a rock there and a rock there. So now the fish can actually pass underneath that little bridge. So that's giving more value. And also it's meaning that all the crap isn't building up under the rock. The crap will only build up under the points, because the fish can easily scavenge now underneath the rock, and that will make a nice little ornament for them. The other thing I'm a big fan of is each time you clean the tank, it's good just to swap things around, because that little box is the fish's world. So if you change some ornaments, swap them things over, put some different fake plants in there, put a hollow ornament or something they can muck around in, then it's much more interesting for you to watch them in a slightly different circumstance, and it's definitely much more interesting for the fish. You get build-up of these calcium deposits around your tank. The white, you can scrape them off with a razor blade, or you can just wipe them regularly with a bit of a citric acid. Because sometimes this stuff's very hard to get off. A bit of citric acid can often help clean it up. Filters. It's really important that we fill it up with water before we turn it on. So now this filter is running much better. What you got to be aware of is, because we did such a big clean on this tank and so much waste has come out of this tank, you need to keep an eye on this filter, because it's very likely that this filter will need cleaning again very soon, because the filter will clog up very quickly as everything in the tank has been disturbed. When all that last bits of junk that haven't managed to get scooped out, as that finds its way into the filter, it's bound to clog the filter up. So keeping an eye on the filter and regularly cleaning it after a service is very important, especially after a big one like this. Now, one thing that's really important is, see these bubbles here? It's really important that the bubbles are not near the pickup of the filter. Otherwise the bubbles will keep getting picked up by the filter, and will stop the filter's efficiency. So the air stone must be separate to where that is. So if we push that one that way, it pumps beautifully. We can't have it that way, or the air bubbles get picked up by the inlet and cause us trouble. When I leave an aquarium, it looks worse than when I got there, because I disturb everything and give everything a good clean. Now, this filter, you can see at the moment, is pumping very well, but it would not surprise me if over time, once it fills up with all the crap that I have cleaned and dislodged out of the back of the aquarium, then you might find it doesn't flow as well. If that's the case, pull that out, give it a rinse in water that you've removed from the aquarium. Then you can pull this sponge out, give that a clean in water you've removed from the aquarium. And then here is polyfilter. So once that polyfilter looks black, you could chuck it out and replace it and put some new polyfilter in. You also got to watch the strainer here. Make sure that's not covered in algae. Otherwise that will that'll stop. So just keep an eye on this filter. It's a very easy filter to clean. It takes 2 seconds to clean. So these fluvels are wonderful little water polishing filters, because they're very, very simple. It takes 2 seconds to give it a quick clean. But once again, you're cleaning everything in water from the fish tank, not water from the tap, because the tap water can contain chlorine, and the chlorine kills off the good bacteria, and the good bacteria should be keeping our fish nice and healthy.